Closed captioning for the Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on the Casey Malone Show.
Today we head to your destination for pinball and video games at Pastimes Arcade, and I prepare a delicious mushroom barley soup. But first, you must visit this hidden treasure in Newcastle, a museum honoring the Warner Brothers. In Newcastle is the historic Warner Cascade Museum right here in the Riverplex, and the president of that board is Jerry Kern. How did you get this all started, and how did you acquire some of this ancient film equipment and all the history of the Warner Brothers?
It started in 1994 when I read that the Warner Brothers had opened their very first theater here in Newcastle. And shortly after that, I met Cass Warner she had just published a book on the history of the Warner family.
Yeah.
And I explained to her I had started a nonprofit, and we were going to reopen the Cascade Theater, and she wanted to be involved in the project.
What did Cass really bring to the table? Because you said she is in the movie business. Well, was. She's passed now.
Yes. She brought contacts to us, so we had kind of an open line to Warner Brothers Studio. Mm-hmm. She also brought with her a lot of the history behind the Warner family.
How many family members are left? You know, like the heirs and the children of the Warner Brothers and grandchildren.
The brothers were part of a family. There were 12 children.
Right.
All have passed away. And so now you even talk about Cass Warner. She's the granddaughter of Harry Warner, but like you said, she's passed away. So there really isn't any family members that have a really in-depth interest in the legacy of the Warner family.
Because you do have quite a bit of the history when they were growing up in Youngstown and stuff.
We have a lady on our board, Betty DeRicio, who is a professional research person. And she researched the whole history of the Warner family, and she shared this information with Cass. And Cass used a lot of her information when she had her second edition of her book. So there was corrections that needed to be made in the book, but it was a give and take. Cass shared some of her family pictures from her family album with us. That's what you see on our wall.
What is your funding source? Do you have a periodic fundraisers and you know, to keep this going?
We do an annual fundraiser through the Community Foundation, and we have people who just donate. We have a donation box when you come into our museum that people put money in.
What do you think is the most interesting thing you've learned that they've done? Like, you know, I mean, because everything's amazing, like Sam. I had no idea that he, you know, brought the talkie to the theaters.
Different things are important to different people. And from my heart, I'm going to answer the question the way I feel.
Okay.
And this was, the Warner family lived in a village in the Russian Empire. And they had a very authoritarian type of government. Mm-hmm. The father had to get permission from the Russian government as to what work he would do. He got permission to be a shoemaker. When they came to this country, they didn't have those restrictions on them. They were able to do, of course, it had to be legal, but they started a ton of business. Even when they were in Youngstown, they probably started at least a half a dozen different businesses before they got into the movie business. To understand the difference that different economic systems afford people. They could have stayed in the Russian Empire and lived a life of poverty, or they could come and have all these wonderful freedoms, and they could start an empire that we all know today and create a legacy that is going to live on forever. But the only way they can create an empire and a lasting legacy is to have some kind of a product to sell to people. So we all benefited from their legacy. We all are a little better off. We all have become educated through their movies. We all have become just better people. We've become a better country because of what they gave us.
Bob Vargo is the acting curator At the museum. And of course, if you're doing a theater museum, you better have a theater. So you have 2 of these.
Yes.
And these are very nice and comfortable.
They are indeed. We're grateful to Tinseltown. They donated the seating, which we had installed. And we have 2 theaters representing the 2 theaters that the Warners opened here in Newcastle, which were their first 2. The Cascade Theater and the Bijou Theater.
Oh, so it's like a twin cinema here.
They were separated by another competitor in between the 2.
Wow. So what do you show here?
We show films at Christmas time. We show films, I mentioned to your camera guy that we show Night of the Living Dead during Halloween.
Wow.
With some other freaky films. And we show a Sherlock Holmes series.
And that went really well.
That's our best one so far in attendance.
You have every Looney Tune cartoon.
We have all of them, yes.
I mean, that is a huge acquisition right there.
Well, it is, but it isn't. When you see how many there were, I think it comes out of about 120, 130 cartoons.
Because I never see those anymore. I mean, they were on every Saturday morning, you know.
They've been declared too violent for us to see. Yes, we won't get into that.
What have you learned about the Warner Brothers that you did not know? I mean, a lot of people don't even realize that they were born in Youngstown, Ohio.
Well, I knew they were born here because Shai Loxton, who was a good friend of mine, whose tailor shop was in the Warner building.
Right, yes.
He told me that Jack Warner used to stop in from time to time.
Wow, and I mean, the Rayen School, they're graduates, they were athletes there.
Jack kept coming back over and over to Youngstown because he had friends here. He had 4 Warner brothers who were the heart and soul of Warner Brothers films, and they're all exceptional people.
People have got to just come and see this because I don't think they realize how entwined, you know, Youngstown and Newcastle are with Hollywood and really the beginning of the film industry.
This is a call out to the city of Youngstown. As you enter the city from all 4 directions, there should be a plaque that says,
Home.
Boyhood Home of the Warner Brothers.
You know what, I'm gonna get on that.
There's only one plaque and it's downtown, you can't even see it. It's on the boulevard there in the middle, across from Powers. When it's done, each wall will have its own genre. A lot of the genres the Warners created. The gangster film, exclusively a Warner thing.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Coming from Youngstown and Newcastle.
Well, Youngstown, hell. Jack was a member of a teenage gang, so.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
See, there's all these fun facts that you will find out when you visit this museum.
We will talk your ear off when you come.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
I'm Elizabeth Bernard. For more than 30 years, I've provided our Valley with sound legal advice. My associate Jennifer Rigetti and I will be your legal representatives if you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident. Don't try to handle it yourself. We'll navigate the red tape of dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the obstacles that you'll face. Remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases, and hiring a lawyer does not mean you have to go to court.
Call attorney Elizabeth Bernard, local legal experience for more than 30 years.
Locally sourced is good, whether it's ingredients or a bank, and that's why my bank is Farmers National Bank. Since 1887, Farmers has remained rock solid through every economic condition. Having a bank with a history of safety, soundness, and conservative management is a must. It all boils down to this. You need a bank that will help you reach your goals. I do too, and Farmers is mine. Farmers National Bank, rock solid.
Weight loss goals aren't one size fits all. At Hurricane Health and Wellness, we understand the struggle. We've been there too. That's why we offer the most popular, effective weight loss medications at an affordable price. Look and feel your best today with Hurricane Health and Wellness.
Consumer Reports conducts over 50 tests to determine the best vehicles. And only one brand was named the 2024 Best Mainstream Automotive Brand, Subaru. With 8 vehicles that are recommended models: Outback, Ascent, Legacy, Impreza, WRX, BRZ, and 2024 top picks, Crosstrek and Forester. Safe, reliable, trusted, loved. Subaru.
The Subaru A Lot to Love event is going on now, only at Boardman Subaru.
This is GABA-Camp, barrier-free camping and nature for our friends with disabilities. Thank you for your generous donations. We now have our first phase but more work needs to be done. A lodge will provide a meeting place and food service for our adults with disabilities and their families. GABA-Camp is a 501c3 organization. We need your help to grow. Donate to GABA-Camp. Giving is living.
Shop C-Max Northside Appliance in Struthers, the local appliance store that beats big box prices every day.
3 generations serving Youngstown, Ohio, soon to be our 4th.
You better come on in my kitchen.
Well, I gotta tell you, Craig and Michelle have an awesome setup over there at a Tip of the Cap Mushrooms. So I'm gonna be preparing a mushroom barley soup with some of their mushrooms. But I wanted to show you that I too can grow mushrooms. I got this mushroom growing kit from them, and this is the pink oysters, and I think tomorrow they are gonna be ready to harvest. So how cool is that? I'm making my own mushrooms, man. So that was very cool, and that was a lot of fun being over there. And I've got a variety of mushrooms that I'm gonna use, and it will be kind of vegetarian because I'm not gonna use any beef, but I am gonna use beef stock. But if you don't want to, you can use a chicken stock or even a vegetable stock. But I do recommend a pearled barley because it doesn't need to cook as long. Just make sure that you rinse it real well before you use it in the soup. So let's get started, and we'll go over all the ingredients for mushroom barley soup. For this recipe, you'll need 1/4 cup of olive oil, 1 cup of chopped onion, 1 cup of chopped carrots, and 1 cup of chopped celery, 3 cloves of garlic minced, 1 teaspoon of fresh thyme chopped, 2 32-ounce cartons of beef, chicken, or vegetable stock, 1 pound of fresh mushrooms. I'm going to use pink oyster, freckled chestnut, and lion's mane. 1 cup of pearled barley rinsed, salt and pepper to taste, and chopped thyme and parsley for garnish. Well, before we start cooking, I'm going to chop up these gorgeous mushrooms. You still want them to be, you know, bite size. They will reduce a little bit when you're cooking them, but they really add such a nice flavor and different textures. And this lion's mane, let me tell you, it is just, look at that. You can make steaks out of this. And you just chop that into about, you know, 1/4 of an inch block. And this is a brand new one for me, the freckled chestnut. And just look how beautiful they are. And you just, I don't even want to break up the things, but they are just, I'm eating one, delicious. So use your steep pot, Dutch oven, 1/4 cup of olive oil. It's nice and shimmery. So I'm going to add the vegetables, the carrots, the onion, the celery, and you know, I'm using a cup each, but you can add more. I like a lot of vegetables in my soups. And then 3 cloves of garlic. So we are just gonna stir this around 5 to 10 minutes until it softens. So our veggies have softened nicely. Now it is time for the shrooms. Oop, in they go. Oh, and it's beautiful. You're gonna love this. This is a great, rich soup. No meat. So then what I'm gonna do is use about a teaspoon, so half of this thyme, and I'll use the rest for garnish. And then I'm just going to mix this, coat it with the oil and vegetables before I add the stock and the barley. So now I'm gonna add the stock. Now I'm using beef, but really you can use whatever you like. And oh my gosh, if you have homemade stock, make sure you use that. But I think the beef adds that richness, especially with the barley. And it's just so much easier to buy the stock. I made turkey stock once though, after Thanksgiving. And I'll tell you, it was really good. I did like a turkey noodle soup. Okay, so we've got that in. Now, what we're gonna do is add the barley. Pearled barley, make sure you buy that because it doesn't take as long to cook and soften. Make sure you rinse it just like you do the rice for risotto. And then I'm gonna stir this and I'm going to turn up the heat, bring it to a boil for a little bit, and then I'll turn it back down, partially cover it, and it's probably gonna be between 45, 60 minutes. And this soup will be done. So you can see it is nice rolling boil. Now what we're gonna do is just partially cover it, leave a little vent, and then I'm gonna put it down to simmer. So, 1 hour, this rich, hearty soup. It is so good. Honestly, I've made this dozens of times and it really is so comforting. You're gonna love it, regardless of what mushrooms you use and what stock you use. You can use chicken or vegetable, but it really is a filling soup. And because of that, I'm using a little more lighter wine. It's a Vinho Verde from Esprel, Portuguese, super reasonable, and it has like a little effervescence, so it cuts through all those wonderful flavors. Delicious. You really are going to love this soup, and you saw how easy it is to make. Go to my website, CaseyMaloneShow.com, and look for the recipe for my mushroom barley soup. Cheers.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
At Kamara, we want to help you find a ring that's as unique as your love. We'll guide you through the entire process, from deciding between natural and lab-grown diamonds, discovering the perfect stone, to finding the setting that fits your style. And with our in-store repair services, we'll make sure your ring looks stunning for years to come. Whether you're looking for timeless elegance or a modern twist, we'll work with you and your price range to find the perfect ring.
Get real, get Kamara.
Rulli Brothers is way ahead of the competition. Check out Rulli Spice World, where you can buy bulk herbs and spices, plus candies, nuts, and fillings for pennies on the dollar. At Rulli Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
The 47th Annual Mahoning Valley St. Patrick's Day Parade is Sunday, March 16th. Enter your group, organization, or marching band at mvstpatrickparade.com.
Giving is living.
Well, the Casey Malone Show has been waiting quite a while to join Mr. Rob Burke at his Pastime Arcades. And I've got to tell you, this is more stupendous than I imagined. This has to be the largest.
Welcome to paradise.
Welcome to paradise. Now, how many pinballs are we talking?
Well, between pinballs and videos, we have about 600 games here.
But first, a little backstory. About 20 years ago, I was at a party at Rob and Bridget's home, and the basement was loaded with about 60 to 80 pinball machines, all in working order. And I'm thinking, this guy is nuts. Look at all these machines. And when Bridget reminded me, I said, of course it's Rob Burke. What started the passion? Like, what was your first machine? When did this begin?
When I was a young guy, 5 years old, we had a pinball machine in our basement. My dad bought it, I guess, for me for entertainment.
Right.
Little did I know what it was or how to even play it. And then I went to college. That further fueled it, and I saw pinball machines everywhere. And then I started having a passion to the point that I really enjoyed them to the point where I actually did a pinball show in Chicago honoring my heroes who were the pinball designers and the artists. And that took place back in 1985. And the show was such a success that people said, hey, when's the next show? I said, there is no next show. I want to do it one time. And this year will be show number 39. We've been doing it 39 years. Yeah.
I saw that you won a Guinness record for the most continuous pinball shows.
Yeah.
So now this entire aisle are all from Spain
and Italy.
I didn't know there was such a market for that.
So there was a time when the games from the U.S. were not permitted to be exported to that part of the world, and because of some sort of laws they had. So they started their own industry of pinball for several years, and these are all games made in Spain and in Italy for their unique markets, and they were not meant for export to the U.S. Some did export to the U.S., but the majorities ended up in Europe. So you're seeing games that you wouldn't see anywhere else. This is a very unique selection.
How do you power?
Well, I have a father-in-law that is an electrical engineer, and we call him Paps. And because of Paps, he made this work. But we have rows and rows of electrical conduit going down here to feed the electricity to keep all these games running. And this is a lot of games.
It is a lot of games. And as I was driving here this morning, I was thinking, how the heck does he have that many outlets and that much power? Because that's a heck of a fuse box.
And we've had no circuit breakers have gone off yet. So
the first thing I learned that I needed to do was be able to read a schematic. So what's pretty crazy about these is that every game you can still get a schematic. So it's just a piece of paper.
And this is in every machine?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I feel like it's treasure hunts.
Yeah. So it's essentially.
God, and you know how to read this?
Yeah, it's essentially a flow chart of electricity. This is called analog. So it's either on, off, yes or no. It's similar to some basic coding where you have to find in the code where things break down and where it's stopping.
And then where you allow it to move on or where it blocks it.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
See, I learned something in that robotics class when we were at the Sharon schools.
But without these, it's extremely difficult because these can help you pinpoint, down to a very switch that you can locate in the game. There's definitely a learning curve, but rather easily once you're able to understand the basic logic of this.
Exactly. And then do you have a couple of these machines and that's how you...
Yeah, I have about...
How many do you have?
I think I'm up to 18. No, not quite with Rob. I think I have about 18 at this point, yeah.
And are they all this style?
Yeah, all of them are electromechanical that I have, with the exception I have a digital skee ball machine, and then I have an arcade game, a video game. But as far as my pinballs go and some other games, electromechanical.
It's very precious.
Yeah.
Do you ever get machines that don't have the schematics?
A lot, quite a bit.
And then, is there an archive where you could find them?
Sure, yeah. There's actually a place up in New York called Pinball Resource that you can buy the schematics and paperwork for a lot of the games. So this company here is called Gottlieb, and actually the paperwork is still under license. So you have to get it from a gentleman up in New York who has the rights to the paperwork. But the other big companies of the era, Williams and Bally and Chicago Coin, you can actually download those right offline.
So your father shares your passion.
That's how I accidentally got into the hobby.
Okay, all right.
I bought this game. I knew he loved growing up in the arcades when he was a kid.
Okay.
And one morning we went out to breakfast and I asked him what his favorite game was. He said North Star, and I knew nothing about pinball at all, nothing. Well, I got online and started looking it up because about 3 weeks later was his birthday. And I always thought, wouldn't it be really cool to get Dad a pinball machine?
Really?
And there was a gentleman in Clary named Knox who he had this online, and I sent him a message and said, it's my dad's favorite game, would you be willing to sell it? And so I bought it. And I remember when...
You're getting all choked up thinking about it because your dad had to,
it was such an incredible feeling.
Oh, you're giving me, that is beautiful.
So he, I got it working fully and took it down its basement and I repainted the cabinet. And he came downstairs, my brother was in on the plan. So my brother took him out to dinner and then he said, we're gonna go play pool. And he came down the stairs and he said, where in the world did you find that?
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, how long has it been since you've seen this game? And he said, it's been 50 years. And he said, does it play? Like, he didn't even care. It's in his basement.
So Nick wears many hats. You do the marketing, you do some of the repair work, but these machines are not part of this because these are for sale.
These ones are for sale. Yeah, we actually have these games on the floor. But if you actually want, we get a lot of people that come in and they ask if the games are for sale. Right. Yeah. We've had a lot of people that just come in and expect this to be a showroom for sale. No, the showroom is this
you've
small
got
part.
some big games here.
Absolutely.
I mean, look at this one. You've got the 20-year reunion to Ms. Pac-Man.
Yep.
This is cool. And I love that you have the Wurlitzer.
It is a Wurlitzer. It's an updated. It's a CD version.
Right.
You know, we do have a couple 45 versions in the back. So that's the beautiful thing. We're 5 minutes off Highway 80, which is, and there are places like this all over the country. You know, in Las Vegas and in Nashville and
I can't imagine
Portland.
they're this large though.
But and that's the thing. Those are all in destination cities already. You're going to go to the Grand Ole Opry when you're in Nashville. You're going to go to the Strip when you're in Vegas. But this is the destination here.
But listen, guys, when you come here, you pay one price and you play all day.
I mean, you're not going to throw them out. It's not like 1 hour and you're done.
So you can put 12 hours here. You know, if you have to, sleep under the pinball machine, take a little break.
But no, this is really, I really can't thank you enough. This is...
I thank you.
This is really a great addition.
And I hope your audience enjoys it because you can't put it into words. There's just so much stuff here.
It to
believe it.
You really do.
For more information regarding any content from our show, please visit our website, CaseyMaloneShow.com. Your comments and ideas are appreciated.
That's all, folks.
The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.